Hey folks, I'm going to actually do a real Dude's Days Off today, so I don't have anything to do, so we're going to go around the house and I'll show you my newest endeavor. I and a friend of mine, Travis Myers, have decided to take up the hobby of beer making. That's right, you heard me, beer making. Actually, the first question you're probably going to ask is it legal? And yes, it is. It is legal. Quick history lesson. Back in during the Prohibition era, before the Prohibition, there was lots of little microbreweries, what we would call. People brewed in their houses. Townships and stuff had breweries and so on and so forth. There you go. During Prohibition, obviously they outlawed all that because of Prohibition, and well, people just didn't want to have fun, I guess. Anyway, and then after Prohibition ended, basically the only thing that survived was the big three. I mean, not big three, but the larger operations that we have today, like Anheuser-Busch, Coors, stuff like that. I think Coors. But anyway, and then in the 1960s, it was legalized again to make wine at home. You could brew your own wine, which has been legal since the 60s. And then in the 1970s, a senator from California, California, proposed a bill. At the time, Jimmy Carter was in as president. He stamped it as law, and you could now make beer in your own home. There are some stipulations for every adult in the house. You can only brew per adult 100 gallons of beer a year, which is a lot of beer, and so on and so forth. But a lot of fun up to this point. Travis Myers, a good friend of mine. Some of you will know him. He got me interested in it, and we went up and bought some equipment. So if you'll see right here, this is actually our first batch of beer. This is a Honeyweight, and watch that. Right? Oh, there it goes. Wait for it. Come on. There it is. See that? Anyway, you got all your ingredients in here. It's doing its thing. The yeast is in there doing its thing, and it's not in a trash bag. It's just if it overflows, that kind of thing. But it smells delicious. It smells like bread in the closet there. So anyway, that's good fun. So I'm pretty excited. It takes about, depending on the type of beer you're making, it takes about 2 weeks to ferment the first fermentation, and then after that you bottle it. 2 weeks to a month, depending on what kind of beer you're making, and then you bottle it and you condition in the bottle, and so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be pretty tasty. So nothing better than drinking your own beer. You know what I mean? So I've already had a couple that Travis has made that were pretty tasty. We have a lot of work to do. I'd like to get to the point where I'm, making my own recipes and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. I think I'm gonna. There's a lot of technical stuff involved, and I'll tell you about it. But if you really want to know, call me up and we'll go through it. But there's a 2-step fermentation, and you just get it away from some of the dead yeast cells that are in there. Yeast, if you don't know, is a living organism, and it feeds on sugars and creates carbon dioxide and alcohol, and that's where you get your good stuff. And flavor, a lot of flavor comes from yeast. In fact, almost all of it does, depending on what type of beer you have. Anyway, it's doing its thing, and I got to transfer it tomorrow to a new fermenter so we can get it away from some of that nasty stuff that's at the bottom. So anyway, getting over a cold. Peace out, and we'll see you sometime later. There's our Christmas tree in all its glory. Something endearing about Charlie Brown's Christmas. We'll be watching it on Dude's Days Off. But anyway, peace out and have a good day. Drink some beer if you're legal. I mean, over 21.